Hey everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel and to my incredibly late May wrap up. It is June 22nd today, and I will hopefully get this edited today to be like posted tomorrow or something. I don't know. I don't even know what I've been doing the past few weeks as far as booktube goes. But anyways, better late than never. I honestly thought about just holding off and just doing May and June together, but I'm not, clearly. So, yeah, here it is. I read, how many books did I read? Let's see. 8 books in May. And, like, overall, I really enjoyed, I think, like, did I give anything less than, yeah, I think it, like, everything was, like, 4 stars or higher. So, let's just dive right in. First up, Hyacinth and Homicide by London Lovett. This is book 8 in the Port Danby series. I mean, it is book 8 in a series, so I don't want to like say too much, but it takes place at Halloween, if you couldn't tell from like the colors and the bats and all of that. Lacey is providing flowers for a high school reunion at one of the neighboring high schools, and while that high school reunion is going on, 2 of like the schools or like that like classes bullies end up getting killed. So that was interesting. And you also get a little bit more of Lacey's like budding romance with someone, which I don't want to say, because that I think would kind of be spoilers, because in the first few books there is a little bit of like a love triangle, if you will. So good time, 5 stars, really enjoying this series. Then I read The Reckoning by John Grisham. I gave this 4 stars. This was an audio listen, and I think I said in like some vlogs that I don't know what it is about like John Grisham's audiobooks, but they're just like really easy to listen to. Like I've listened to a handful, if not, I mean, I've listened to a decent amount, and like I always just like get completely like immersed in the story. So this follows Pete Banning. He is a World War II vet. He like was presumed like he was presumed dead. He was like MIA in the war, comes home, he's like this like war hero in his small town. Basically seems to like wake up one morning, goes about his like normal business, and then goes and kills like the pastor, reverend, whatever, in his town. And no one, like, and he doesn't like try and like deny it or anything, like, but no one really seems to know why. So there's 3 like main parts to this story. You have like the murder and trial, I should say. Then, so that's part 1. Then you like go back in time to like Pete meeting his wife, Pete going to war, kind of like the events like leading up to this murder. And then you have like the aftermath of the trial, like what happens. But yeah, really easy to listen to. I was a little bit like confused. Like you get to like the end of the trial and you're like, you know, a third of the way done, and you're like, what's going to happen? But I do like how it ended up like being structured and like I enjoyed the story. It was very interesting. The one thing that I was like a little bit let down in is I was a little bit let down in like the reasoning behind it. I'll say that without giving anything away. I was a little bit let down by that, but overall it was really good. Then I buddy read An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir with Amanda. This was 5 stars. I freaking loved this. I like flew, well, okay, I shouldn't say I flew through it because it is like 450 pages, but I was completely immersed in this story. I mean, I loved it. This is one of the books that John like gave for me to read this year, and I am so looking forward to like moving on in the series. I had some like other series, I like fantasies that I need to continue on with first, but I'm so looking forward to what happens next. So this follows Leia, is that how you pronounce her name? Who is a slave, and Elias, I don't know how you say these names. She's a soldier. Leia's brother is arrested, and she turns to somebody for help, and she's basically willing to do whatever she needs to do to like get him freed. And then you follow Elias, who is a soldier. He's about ready to graduate from like assassin school, I don't know, soldier school. And he's kind of starting to like question if like he's on board with like what he's fighting for. But it was so good. I'm so invested. I like need to know what happens next. I'm just dropping books. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So then we had the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This was 4 stars for me. I read this for my in-person book club. So this is set in the 90s, which I loved. And you follow this book club in the South. There's like a new man in town, and they're starting to have some suspicions, especially one character, one member, Patricia. She's starting to have some suspicions about this like new man in town, and she kind of like recruits the members of her book club to like help her figure out what's going on. There are some like really gross parts which I think I talked about in some of the vlogs that I uploaded. But like overall, it was good. It was enjoyable. It was very interesting. There were some very interesting like discussions that we had at my book club about like some of the like social dynamics in this. Especially with it being like set not in like the super distant past. Like the 90s doesn't feel like that long ago to me. Like, so very interesting. Next up we have One by One by Ruth Ware. I gave this 4 stars. This was an audio listen as well. Without saying too much because it is like a mystery thriller type thing. So you're following this company. What's the company's name? Snoop, which like sort of seems to work like Spotify, but you can like listen to what like people that you follow are listening to like in real time. So this like company's like doing a work retreat at this like ski chalet thing in the French Alps, and there's an avalanche that basically causes them to be snowed in, and members or people in this avalanche or in this like ski chalet. So you have like the people at this work retreat, and then you have like 2 people that are like working the retreat, and slowly like people start like being killed off one by one. So it was a very easy listen. You get 2 main perspectives of what are their names. Aaron, who is one of the like employees that who's like working at the ski chalet, and you have, what is the other person's name? Oh my gosh, every chapter that I'm turning to is Aaron. Liz, who's one of the employees. So those are like the 2 main perspectives that you get, and very good. All right, then we have, as always, Julia, which was edited by Joan Reardon, but it's the letters of Julia Child and Avis Devoto. I give this 5 stars. This was a carryover from April. It took me quite a long time to read, but more because like there's not like a firm plot, right? Like these are just letters back and forth, and you have like some gaps in between. Like it's just people like writing letters, so there's not like a plot to like really get immersed in. But it was very interesting to me because like you get to see Julia Child like being herself, like Julia Child as Julia Child, not Julia Child as like the diplomat's wife, and not Julia Child as this like big public figure, but like who Julia Child is like, or was like as a person. Some of the thoughts that, you know, she couldn't necessarily say out loud out in public, you know, some political thoughts, things like that. She shares them with Avis Devoto, and so it was very interesting. And like there are like, you know, this was, you know, all in like the 50s, and you get some like, you know, the dishwashing machine and like things that like technology and stuff that we take for granted now, like that most, I won't say most because like I haven't always had a dishwasher, but you know, like things that are more like common these days, like they were like up and coming in the 50s. And overall it was a very enjoyable. It just took me a little bit longer to read because there's not a firm plot. It's not like a story, it's letters, but very interesting. Then I read Chilled to the Cone by Ellie Alexander. I had to return that back to the library, so here's a picture. I don't remember what number that is, 10 or 11 maybe, in the Bake Shop Mystery series, following Jules. So Jules and the Tort team have decided to like take on another like adventure, and they're like opening kind of like a pop-up like ice cream stand in like a close but like neighboring part of town to their to Tort. So Jules and Andy and Sterling are kind of like, they rented out this space and they are trying to like get it all ready to like open up this like ice cream parlor type thing. And one of the, oh, what do they call them in the book? It's like a homeless person, but they have like a euphemism, if you will, for them. Like travelers, I think is what it is. One of the like travelers that like, you know, has been around town for a while turns up dead, and like there's no like they don't think it's drugs or like anything like that, like that's behind it. Like he's always like been this like very friendly person, and so they have to figure out who killed this person and why. So that was really good. And you get, I'm trying to think, I think this is, I don't think I've read one since then, so I'm pretty sure that, you know, you get a little bit more of Carlos, Jules' husband. They make some big, like some pretty big like decisions as far as their future together goes, which is really good. I love seeing that. And there's some other like pretty big exciting things that happen in this one, so it was good. Then last but not least, we have the Cookbook Club by Beth Harbison. I read this for the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge, which was an author you've not read before. I read this at the recommendation of Chloe, and I gave it, I'm like torn on this one, like 3.5 to 4 stars. Like I didn't hate it. My biggest complaint, okay, let me tell you what it's about first. So, you follow like one, two, 3 different women. So you have, Margot, who has like, at the very beginning of the book, she's like in an unhappy marriage, but then like her husband decides to leave her, and she's like, wait, like, you're leaving me type thing. So she's like seeking out like some female companionship, and she sees this like poster, like Instagram post or something about like a cookbook club that this person Trista wants to start. And so she decides to go to this like book or cookbook club meeting. And so it's Margot and then Trista who starts this club. Trista has just recently left like being a lawyer to take over like running this bar that she used to frequent. So she's trying to find like recipes to kind of like spruce up this bar and like bring it from kind of like a sports like dive bar type thing to like more like appealing. And then you have Asia, who's a little bit younger, but she's kind of just like in need of female companionship as well. So those are like the three members of this book club. So like the concept was really like interesting to me. I thought the idea of like a cookbook club was really interesting, but you don't get a lot of like the interaction between these members of this club. Like you follow Margot, you follow Trista, and you follow Asia, but you don't like, there's not a lot of interaction between them. Like, you know that they're meeting every month because like at the beginning of every month you get these little like, or the end, I don't know what you would call it. Let me find one. You get these like meeting like minutes, I guess. But like other than that, like it's like they could not even be like in a cookbook club. You would never know that they really interacted. I mean, there's a couple times where like Asia and Margot like meet up and then they like have a meeting at Trista's bar. But like my biggest complaint is like it seemed like three completely separate stories. And within those stories, each of like the individual like women like find or renew friendships like within their own lives. But I really wanted it to like be more about like the club and how they found what they needed from each other. And I feel like it wasn't that. So like, did I enjoy it? Yes, I enjoyed all three of the stories, like the women's stories, but I just feel like they didn't really interact that much. So that was like kind of a like bad note. Like, I don't know what to rate this. Like, so I said 3.5 to 4 stars. Like, I really enjoyed all of the stories. I just didn't love the like lack of interaction, especially when this says a novel of food and friendship. And I'm like, well, yes, okay, like there is friendship and friendship is like definitely a theme within this, but like you could have just chosen 3 random women that have never met each other before, in my opinion, and like it'd be fine. Anyways, that is what I read in May. How was your May? How's your June? I mean, June's almost over. How's May and June? Yeah, have you read any of these books? Let me know your thoughts down below. That is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.